I think this report is significant in that it endorses Pakistan's viewpoint, Pakistan's contention. And as the word go, Pakistan, right from the very beginning, had asked India to share evidence of Pakistan's alleged involvement in Pahalgam attack. And we also offered to India a joint investigation as well. But India, true to its form, never responded positively. And in order to reinforce its false narrative against Pakistan, it did not look at the larger picture, and it did what it had to do in order to promote their own interests. But that obviously boomeranged. International community never believed what India said, and hence now this report, which clearly vindicates Pakistan's viewpoint, Pakistan's contention. And I'm glad that this report has come out. But this would not really mean much in the sense that India is now suffering from hubris, suffering from, and it continues to be intransigent when it comes to Pakistan. Rather than fixing our problems, India continues to fix blames, and that is not going to help the task of diplomacy in our region. And that is unfortunate, whether it is the issue of terrorism or the way report also talked about the Indus Waters Treaty, that also in a way vindicates Pakistan's viewpoint. Uh, and since India does not have any right in international law or in the context of the treaty itself, India does not have any right to hold this treaty in abeyance. So, in short, I would say Pakistan has Pakistan's viewpoint has won. Pakistan position has won, and it calls for India to revisit its position and see as to how it can reach out to Pakistan on both the issues: terrorism, Jammu and Kashmir dispute, and the Indus Waters Treaty. One should not look at countries' policy simply through the prism of building a narrative. Because if you get too much involved in building a narrative, then you lose sight of the importance of policy itself or policy objectives. Because at the end of the day, you would like to achieve certain objectives, and narratives are also built to complement your way towards achieving your objectives. Uh, Pakistan, as I look at it, this report has come out. It's okay. It endorses Pakistan's viewpoint. But if you take it as something which would pressurize India to come to table or to show flexibility on these issues vis-a-vis Pakistan, that I think would be reading too much into it. My own view is that Pakistan needs to do or take some more steps, inject some vigor, verve into its diplomacy to be more coherent, and perhaps then can we achieve something tangible. Otherwise, as I always say, excessive rhetoric is anathema to effective diplomacy, in my view. Narrative building is okay, but narrative building is not achieving policy objectives. No, I think Pakistan does have many avenues in order to achieve its policy objectives. And what are our policy objectives? Let's first be very clear about it. We want good relations with India, peaceful relations with India. We want to settle the Jammu and Kashmir dispute in accordance with the aspirations of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. We want a normal relationship with India, in short. And if that is our foreign policy objective, or at least our objective in this region, in South Asia, then Pakistan will be required to do things which kind of, uh, are in sync with these objectives rather than to take us away from achieving, realizing our objectives. So everything, every diplomatic step has to be, in my view, considered in the light of this basic principle. If our approaching international bodies, forums to only express or our, I mean, our anger or to score some brownie point against India, that may give us some contentment. But my own view is that it would not bring about any uh, tangible change on the part of India, nor would this give us anything tangible with which we can realize these objectives of ours. So we have to be more, I mean, whatever we do should be well considered, and whatever step we take should take us closer to achieving something concrete rather than doing the same thing and again and achieving nothing in the process. You may not agree with my assessment. My own feeling is, rather, assessment is, not feeling. My assessment is that India, for now, is okay with holding the treaty in abeyance or suspending it, though the Indus Waters Treaty does not allow, there is no such provision in the treaty itself which would allow unilateral suspension of the treaty. But my assessment is that India is not interested in this treaty anymore, and it wants to get rid of this. For now, it is holding it in abeyance, and that is maybe a temporary phenomenon or temporary move. Eventually, India would terminate it unilaterally, in my view, because India, if you look the narrative or the arguments which are coming from India, emanating from India, they are not only talking about the blood and water cannot flow together, about or blaming Pakistan, accusing Pakistan of terrorism and so on and so forth. But it is also criticizing, uh, taking pot shots at for the India's first Prime Minister Nehru, that how come Prime Minister Nehru negotiated such a one-sided treaty with Pakistan? So that is the crux of the matter, in my view. And India, whenever it feels that the time is right from their perspective, you will see. And with the passage of time, as SARC has lost its relevance and has become dysfunctional, this is what India will do with the Indus Waters Treaty. I am not suggesting for a moment that India will or is in a position at this point in time to stop Pakistan's water. But India perhaps now feels that there is no need for such a treaty because water can be shared without a treaty framework or any treaty as it is happening between China and India or Afghanistan and Pakistan. We do not have any treaties with Afghanistan, nor China and India have any treaty. So if those upper, lower riparians can manage their water, why can't Pakistan and India do the same? This is what the Indian thinking, in my view, is. I may be totally off the mark, But this is what I strongly feel that this is what India is thinking. And then it would be in a comfortable position to fiddle with the water flow or whatever water we get. We get about 133 million acre feet of water from the western rivers every year. So long as Pakistan is getting that water and India is also sharing data with us. Uh, Pakistan, I think, can live with that kind of an arrangement, but that would be a tenuous arrangement to count on. So, from Pakistan's viewpoint, this treaty is important, uh, and Pakistan should do everything it can. But I personally feel that uh, by only whining and whinging would not uh, win us or would compel India to come back to the treaty. We will have to take some extra measures in order to legal measures, I would say. And India, I hope, understands that it's a matter of death and life for us. We cannot be oblivious to whatever India does on the western rivers. So I'm sure India would be very careful not to hurt Pakistan, and it would understand that it's a kind of one of those red lines on which, if push comes to shove, Pakistan would act decisively, in my view. It would be an act of war if our water is stopped. But fortunately, at this point in time, India does not have the infrastructure or structural capacity to do that. Yeah, it can decide not to share data with us or floods, do not inform us about floods in advance and so on and so forth. But at this stage, India does not have the infrastructure to stop Pakistan. It may take a year or two. It is now building a new canal, and that would obviously divert Pakistan's water, which we get in River Chenab. So there are projects which should be a matter of concern for Pakistan, but 1, 2, 3 years down the road, things would be more clear as to what India's long-term intentions are. As I said, it is one of the red lines which Pakistan has very clearly defined, that Pakistan would not brook any reduction in the water which it gets from the western rivers. So I hope that India would not go to that extent where Pakistan is forced to take or go kinetic, to put it this way. And India, and I think India at present is trying to build pressure on Pakistan. It's a pressure tactic which India is using. It's a leverage which it does have to a certain extent. And it's using Pakistan, as they would say, so that Pakistan, according to them, stops so-called cross-border terrorism. Uh, but that is their narrative. That is, they will continue doing that. But Pakistan, I think we know India's long-term intentions. My own view, as I said, is that India is highly, highly unlikely to come back to the treaty, no matter what. But it does not mean that India would stop Pakistan's water. These are two different things. Let's be clear about it. India, I think, would think thrice before going down that route, meaning that in my view, India would not stop the flow of Pakistan's water, but it would keep the lever with itself in order to keep Pakistan on the hook.